Okay?
Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Hello, it's Sunday, January 24, about 11:08 a.m. Greetings and salutations. Basically, I'm wondering to myself what kind of a, rant I've been going through. I understand. I went swimming yesterday. Everything was great. Came home. Another day, another not making a dollar. My son's introduced me to some new music on YouTube, this band called Operatic, and I was scrolling through. I had the Porcupine Tree, Fear of a Blank Planet. I put those on my space, on my music player to introduce my music on my MySpace site. I'm sitting here just realizing I have a lot of social criticism and things that are definitely going to be misconstrued. And I definitely change from day to day from temper, as far as I feel temper. I also noticed this morning, I have been up since 5 this morning, that looking at YouTube videos that I had made, I realized in the past week I must have been 3 different people as far as energy level and the way I presented myself. That it would it was very difficult to talk to anybody about what I decided to say publicly. All of a sudden, nobody hears nothing like this coming from me. And this last week, in confronting my family and old work relationships and things, I guess the reality I'm coming to terms with is it's not enough if I just left the area quietly and went about my business like a private citizen, who knows better should. I don't know. Out of boredom over years and the position of helplessness, trying to cope with the disability status and unemployment after being connected to the vested people in New York, in my town, that I always mention to my other, like a psychologist or somebody, when I mention these people, these vested people do not have a regional manager in the city of Utica, New York. As far as I know, they have bosses, but they don't have to answer to anybody directly for a case that seems to linger over 5 years without an employment, without a cash register job, a part-time cash register offer or anything. I've never been connected with anybody outside of there's a lot of employment agencies and affiliated with the vested people in Utica. I'm going to mention vested today because they let me down as far as I'm concerned. The way the case has been handled over 6 years, 5-6 years of being on their roll, looking for help to get coordinated and advocated for as a disabled single dad who's been unemployed for a number of years, and trying to get employment through them. And I didn't ask for much as far as extra money or anything for school. I wasn't allowed to have any money to go to school. They didn't approve of a general studies program that I graduated from in '09. But that goes besides the point. It's not just me going crazy filing personal grievances over the internet like a crazy person is apt to do, right? That's all they do. More talk, right? But as a man, I don't get the opportunity to talk to anybody who's policy making in my community or anything for any reason. I'm just, maybe a laughing stock, as far as a hearsay joke, watered down, trickled through, 3-4 people, to get to somebody's ears from a music video or some kind of blog that I might be, cryptically, artistically bent, and maybe innuendo inferences about people in my personal life and in my locality. I guess the catalyst is kid getting shot. It's in the paper. that I mentioned yesterday, it was a homicide. All right, and it's on Waverly Place, which is approximately, I don't know, 4 or 5 blocks, small city blocks, walking distance. And the other catalyst for me coming out of my shell is the notion that there's over 100 registered sex offenders and child molesters in my zip code, which is not that many miles and blocks radius from, kids, especially mine. Last year there was a shooting that turned into a murder just a block or two away down Plant Street. Drugs involved, and it's like a turf war on this block in this section of my town that these drug people have to have the conduit of travel down to West Utica through here from Cornhill apparently, and they don't give a goddamn who they're going to do anything to, and that scares the shit out of me every day, and it should, because I'm an easy mark, and it doesn't matter if I made these videos or not to say it. I'm saying it like a, hey, if anything ever happens to me type of video. This was on YouTube before you did it to me. And I've already been working with the police all along as much as I can to keep the riffraff and the threatening people who are in my own building that I lived in, tenants, former tenants. I had to get them, question drawn to them, and let alone, to my landlords that were reluctant to act on things because, nobody wants to lose rent. These people, they were out-of-state landlords initially, and they only recently came into the picture as living here or knowing, directly what was going on in their own building that I've been in for the last 4 years now. So things are changing. It seems like I'm old school, and I've always been a weakling myself about coping with who's doing what across the street or next door. That's how I was raised. We were raised in residential years ago. Everybody kept to themselves. We used to leave our back door. The houses were, kids used to run in and out of the houses all hours, and friends, and we were raised with the doors unlocked, and it was a whole different adjustment over years, and with my own son since he's been born, 10 years now. He's 11 years old, going to be 12 this April. To have to see that kind of threat level, and to have to cope with it, and to internalize it, and make some kind of a sense of it, how to cope in the middle of it all. So I can't just rant and say everybody sucks and I'm the only great guy in the world. Pick me video. But I am saying, if there's got to be knowing it. I mean, I don't understand. Now they closed a nightclub for stabbing. There's been so many stabbings. There's stabbings in school. There's stabbings at the club. There's stabbing. They're all arguing too that they got a connection to who they know in Syracuse and who they don't know, gangs. And then now they got this presence of the little red hat people who aren't wearing their hats all the time now. I see the I'm not the only one seeing it. Just so everybody in the drug gang. I noticed in my last video that I was kind of ambiguous, kind of in the middle about my position with who am I affiliating myself with, who do I have my heart with, drug people or police. Well, I gotta say, if I'm gonna make an error, I'm gonna make the error with I'm gonna be lawful abiding citizen, and that includes calling the police on every tip that I can give them to assist them, which I know is political, and they're motivated to do what they got to do based on who tells them what to do politically, who pays them to allow what drugs or what activity to flourish to get a bigger fish out of the case. I understand all that. So I'm in the middle that way, that I have to, I don't have the authority of the badge to directly influence or affect and take down when I see directly as a witness what the hell's going down, and leads and follow up on them. The only thing I can do is get license plates and report it, and descriptions. If I'm not, I can't arrest. So I'm in the middle as far as being on the street, and I have no choice. This is self-defense as far as I'm concerned. I'm not an offensive man looking to stick my nose in these people who are capable of shooting people 4 blocks away. And they were college-age kids that got shot.